Morning everyone, this is Tony from our Homestead Skills. Hello there. It's a little bit awkward in this kitchen. I'm just trying to set up so that I can see things and do things and still present a video that gives you some idea of what I'm actually doing. Today I've decided to can up some cranberries. You know, I'm going to make some cranberry sauce. Now, I have never bought cranberries in a can, and I know you can do that, and that's fine if that's what you choose to do. But this time of year, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas, there's always fresh cranberries available. So I like to take advantage of that and make up some fresh cranberry sauce or cranberry juice. And today I'm going to make cranberry sauce. Now, even if we don't have turkey, we love cranberry sauce with chicken. So it's this will go before you know it. I know that. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got 3 bags here. And the first thing I'm going to do is wash them all. So, and maybe take out any that are bad. There's nothing really bad there though. But yeah, first thing we do is wash them all. And just going to get them all in the colander right now and get these done. Now the recipe for cranberry sauce and is, you know, I've checked on the size of the packets, and normally what you need is, here it is. In most cases, you do have the recipe on the bag, and here it is. It's 1 cup of water, 1 cup of sugar, and 3 cups of cranberries, fresh or frozen. And there's usually 3 cups worth in the bag. Like I've always checked that one bag, you add 1 cup of sugar and 1 cup of water. So right now I'm just going to wash these. Okay, my cranberries have been washed, and I've got a fairly large pot because that is a good quantity, and you want to be able to boil these for a little while. So the next step is 3 cups of sugar here. And try to be as precise as I can, but it's, there we go. 1 cup. Jar is a little heavy. 2 cups and 3 cups. So I've got my sugar quantity in there, and now I want to do the same with water. So let me get 3 cups of water. Now, one, 2, and 3 cups of water. So the this size jar, which is the 1.5 pints, holds 3 cups. Perfect. And I don't have a proper wet measuring cup, so I had to use that route. Okay, now all we do is get this on the stove. Okay, so now I've put my cranberry mixture of water, sugar, and cranberries on the stove here, and I'm just going to let this boil until all the cranberries pop, and they do pop. And that's why I've got a fairly large pot here, so that it doesn't overflow. And so we'll just stir this up. Wait till all the cranberries are popped and dissolved, and then we're going to can these up, and these just need to be water bath canned. I'll probably use this same pot, you know, once I've jarred them up, and hopefully they'll all fit in here, and this is a good height for water bath canning. Anyway, for now, I'm just going to go get something to stir this with, and I should likely start getting some jars and everything ready. But yeah, it's going to take a little while for it to come up to temperature. and do its thing. So meanwhile, I'm going to go get some jars. Okay, they have started to split, and you could see that it's still pretty moist here and they're still pretty firm, so I'm just going to let it boil for a little while yet. You want it to really not have the look of whole berries in there when you're done. I mean, you're still going to see berries, but not so whole. You want them to break up a bit more. So we're just going to let this boil down for a while. Okay, I've turned the stove off. The mixture is at the consistency I like. I don't know if I can show that to you on the camera here. You know, you can still see berries, but they're not as whole, not as complete. So at this point, I have got all my jars ready, and we're just going to can these up. Okay, so I've got clean jars, new lids. My vinegar is in this bowl. Paper towel to clean the rims when I'm done. Obviously with some vinegar in the bowl. Okay, let's get this hot over here and we'll start to fill up. I'm going to just use a towel to set this on. And we're just going to fill up these jars now. That looks great. I don't think we're going to end up using all these jars, but I've got more than I need, hopefully. Wrong scoop. Okay, about a half inch from the top is fine. This looks lovely. It's perfect. And it does look liquidy now, but it does firm up as it cools, so don't worry about that at all. I think that there's enough natural pectin in cranberries. Doesn't look like I'm probably going to have about 4 jars. Okay. And any extra will just go in the refrigerator, if there is any extra, if I can't get a full jar. But it looks like I can get a full jar. I'm just going to get something to scoop up the balance of what's in there. Okay, I don't have my little magnetic wand with me, so I'm just going to have to be very careful using my hands to take these out on the rim nice and clean. You really don't want to be touching the rubber with your fingers. Anyway, for now, I've got my vinegar and a paper towel. And I'm just going to clean the rims real good here, especially when you're dealing with something like sugar that gets sticky on the edge. You don't want any residue of any food on the edges of this. These are already starting to firm up, and they still have yet to be water bath canned so that I can just put them on the shelf, make them pantry stable. Now, I'm going to just verify that these are clean, go around them a second time. Yeah. Looking good though. Okay. Okay, and I've put my flats, I guess, in hot water here just to gently soften up the rubber. You don't really need to boil them anymore. Once upon a time they were much thicker and people used to recommend that you boil them for 5 minutes, but I just put them in really hot water and it just gently softens them up. I guess it's a throwback from the old days. Okay, so we're done. Putting my rings on, finger tight. I don't really need to make sure there's no air bubbles. In this particular lot, they were liquidy enough, but in most cases you do double check that you don't have any air bubbles. Okay, these are ready to go into the canner, and I'm going to use the same pot. I don't have a lot of pots here, but those are that's a nice tall one, and you want to, when your water bath can, you want the water to be an inch or two above the top of the jars. So I'm going to go and wash that pot now. Okay, something my mother once taught me is if you don't have something to place at the bottom of your pot, like if you don't have a proper water bath canner and you substitute a pot like I'm doing, I just put a dishcloth on the bottom. You just want something to separate your jars from the bottom of the pot. So we're going to place the jars in there right now, and we've only got the 4, and then I'm going to fill this up to about 1 inch and 2 inches over the top of these jars. Okay, always remember when you add your water, if you've got hot jars, add hot water. If your jars have cooled down, if you've allowed them to cool down before you can them up, add similar temperature water so that the jars don't go in shock and break. Now I'm going to add a little bit of that vinegar, but just a bit. And that is just to keep the jars, the minerals from the water, from clouding the outside of the jars. Okay, so I don't need the whole thing, but just maybe a tablespoon or 2, and that should be adequate. Now I'm going to wait for this to come to a boil, and after it has come to a boil, I am still below 1,000 feet above sea level, so I can water bath can these for 15 minutes. Now, if you're above 1,000 feet, you would can them for, you'd let it boil for 20 minutes up to 3,000 feet, and once again for 25 minutes if you're higher than that, or if you're over 6,000 feet. Always adjust for your altitude. So, as I said, once this comes to a boil, then I'll time it for 15 minutes. If it goes a minute or 2 over that, not a problem, but you shouldn't do it less than the required time. We have made and canned our cranberry sauce. Now we'll just wait till this is done, and then we'll pull them out. All right, my 15 minutes water bath canning time is done. I've pulled these out, and it looks like they've already sealed. They've only been out for a minute or so, but they all popped and sealed. And I'm just going to leave them here to cool. I can still feel heat coming off them. So when they are cooled, I will take the rings off, wash them if they're at all sticky. I don't think they will be, but I'll give them a quick wipe down anyway, and then put them on the shelf. So we have shelf ready. Don't have to go in the refrigerator, and I didn't have to buy canned cranberry sauce. So it's awesome. It's done.